Okay, I'm going to talk about 5 problems people will gladly pay you to solve using black soldier fly farming, and why you need a winning black soldier fly farming business plan. If you've been following me for a while, and you're listening to this, actually you're most likely somebody who is a member of my black soldier fly farming network, and so you know that my passion is to help you see how you can, just go. You don't do the basics. I don't want people to do the basics where you're just looking at, you're growing the larva, you're getting pre-pupae and the adult flies, and you're feeding them to your livestock. Well, that's the first level. The second level is for you to be able to go to a point where you begin to sell it to others. So you're not just using it for your own consumption, you're selling it to other people, and then you are processing it, you are adding value, you're processing it into meals, you're getting the black soldier fly oil, which can be a kind of a dietary fat source and things like that. You're going to the next level. You're taking it and you're looking for ways to combine it with other ingredients to make feed, to actually begin to produce BSF based feeds that have the BSF component as a major protein contributor, as against using the more expensive alternatives like soya bean, like fish meal and things like that. That is my dream. That is my goal with people, and I'm going to do it. Like I keep telling each of you, the minute I set up my own place on my land at Benin Republic, I'm going to do that. It's a very practical vocation, and it's something that's actually very low cost. Now, I'm offering all these ideas up front because I don't want a case of people having to, I don't want to keep people waiting. This is information I've gathered over the last 9 months. So I'm just putting it together and presenting it to you, hopefully in an articulate manner that will help you kind of begin to, if you are willing to listen, you take these ideas and you use them. All right. So I don't say I told you so, because believe me, the potential in this industry is not just massive, it's also multidimensional. The potential for money making and also for cost saving. All right, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to say here is that the best way to write a winning plan is for you to clearly describe how your business idea solves the problem. Because the idea of a business plan is to present your business idea. That's the whole idea. So if you want the people that you're asking for money, because that's why you're putting out the plan most of the times, is for you to get funding. So the people that are going to consider your offer or your presentation are going to be people that are saying, okay, would I like to put my money into this person's business idea? Okay, and the best way to write a plan that gets those people to agree to give you their money for you to use in this business idea, which they know you can lose if you get it wrong, the best way to do it is to present the idea to them as one that solves a problem that they recognize and that they are willing to pay to be rid of. It may not even be a problem they feel they have personally. So these investors may be people who are comfortable, they don't have a problem, but they may have a kind of investment emotionally in solving a particular problem in society. For instance, world hunger. Elon Musk was recently asked to donate some of his money to help solve world hunger, and he instantly responded by saying, I'll give you 2%, I can't remember, maybe 2 billion of my money, all right, if you can show me, told the UN, if you can show me how giving you that amount of money will help to eliminate world hunger. You understand? So he wants to solve the problem of world hunger, and he's offering, okay, you guys, you show me how you're going to do it. In other words, give me a business plan. It doesn't have to be a business plan with multiple pages, just like a description of what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And if he's convinced, he'll give them the money. The same thing your business plan does. All right, so that's the first thing you need to keep in mind. So black soldier farming itself is the ultimate business idea. Why? Because it offers, at least for several of them, and mainly for most of them, the 5 problems I'm going to describe to you, it offers a solution to them. Some of them it offers a partial solution to. All right, and these are problems that are faced in every society in the world. So you can imagine that this is a massive opportunity. Anywhere you are, this understanding of how to use BSF farming to solve these problems can enable you to make money anywhere you find yourself on the planet. All right, just solving one of those problems alone, that's the beauty of it. So you have 5 problems I'm going to give you that need solution, that need solving, that people are ready to pay for, but you only need to be able to solve just one of these problems, and you would already be in money. You'll be able to look forward to making money for life, because these are things that require a sustainable solution. These are problems that require a sustainable solution, because they are problems that are kind of kept alive by the fact that they are based on the continuous generation of the so-called inputs that are going to be used, all right, as for processing by the black soldier fly. So you're going to have waste, for instance, being processed, and that means that waste is continuously generated. But how do you get rid of the waste? That's where your BSF farming comes in. So let's go ahead. All right, so it goes without saying that it won't be easy, but it can be done, And the best part is that some people are already doing it in different parts of the world. Over the last 9 months, 10 months, I've researched in so many markets, especially in Europe. But here in Africa, it's happening also in South Africa, in places like the UK, in places like Sweden, in Ghana. We have these things in Kenya, Uganda. These things are happening, and of course, to some extent in Nigeria, very minimal. In Nigeria, still have individuals doing it. But in Kenya, for instance, in East Africa, we have governments that are involved in it on a scale that's so impressive right now. Generally, insect farming and especially BSF farming. All right, so people are doing it. So it's not like you are being told to reinvent something here. This is something that is already happening. It's already proven. It's already working. The thing is adapting it to suit the needs in your own environment to solve those same problems. So do you need help getting started with BSF farming, or are you already doing it? All right, but you need support to prepare a good business plan to expand your operations, because that's another thing. Some people I know are in BSF farming, but they're using their own funds and resources. That's limiting them. I am arguing that this thing has such massive potential for success that a lot of people will gladly invest in it if they have the funds. So there are investors who are looking for places to put money that they can make a difference in society. They have a social entrepreneurial vision, and they're looking for, but they don't have the time. So they're looking for somebody that's willing to make himself available to do the work, okay, to do the heavy lifting, and they will provide the money. All right. So if you can package together a winning business plan, you win these guys over. That's all what it's all about, right? So the first problem, okay, that the BSF farming can be used to solve is the problem of low-cost food waste recycling. Because we have a problem of food waste right now. We use a lot of landfills. Even here in Nigeria, we have those of you that are in Lagos, when you're coming through the what's the name of that place there, toll gate area, it's crazy the kind of odor that comes from there. It's a lot of landfilling. I don't know how much of that is food waste, but the thing is, we do know that there's a lot of food waste everywhere, and it's decaying, causing flies, causing all kinds of unpleasantness around the environment. So 1.3 billion tons of food waste goes to landfill per annum globally. I even think that's a conservative estimate, right? So that's one problem. Another problem is looking for viable low-cost alternative to fish meal. If you are in farm business, and that's my major audience here, so I know you listening to me, you're likely to be somebody that has a stakeholder in the farm business industry. You know that fish meal is a key ingredient, a key source of protein for delivering protein nutrients to livestock, right, that are kept under intensive farming conditions. And it's become more and more prohibitively expensive right now, and it's not so available compared to the way it used to be before. So much so that people are being forced, despite the fact that they didn't want to initially, to look for alternatives. All right. So to get 1 ton of fish meal, the normal process that's involved in getting fish meal is for you to go and harvest fish from the seas, from the water bodies, and that's been leading to a lot of overfishing. All right. So just fish meal, to get it, we have to use about 1 ton of fish and 1.3 tons of fish to get 1 ton of fish meal. That's extremely inefficient. All right. And so 10% of fish produced globally, all right, is what we're effectively taking and using to produce fish meal. That makes no sense. We cannot, it's not sustainable. That's the reason why recently insect farming over the last decade or so has begun to gain grounds a lot, because apart from the fact that it's affecting the environment, we also go to run out ultimately. Now the other one is getting fish that's caught to the place where it's going to be processed, all right, to the processing facility, is often a logistics problem. You can imagine when you have to go to the high seas to get the fish when they're harvested, then transporting them to the location where you're doing the processing. Many times you find the processing factory is not close, very far from being close, all right, to the place where you get the fish from. Therefore, you have to include that, and that has implication of cost. Those are the reasons why fish meal is so prohibitively expensive, especially in places like Nigeria, Africa, where we don't even produce it. That's the thing. If we were producing it, then we'll be talking about fishing in our own water bodies. We do some of it, but not enough, not nearly enough. All right. So we have high handling costs, and that's increasing the cost, reducing the availability. So the third problem, okay, is viable. Oh, by the way, let me just recap there. So we've done problem 1, low cost food waste recycling. Right, we're recycling food, and we need to find better ways to do it because it's costing us a lot of money to use landfills. Then we have the need to look for alternatives to expensive and increasingly unavailable fish meal. That's the second problem. The third problem we're having is the need to look for a low-cost alternative to expensive feed ingredients like maize and soya. These are things that are being used as, the maize is being used as a major carbohydrates supplier, energy supplier, all right, all the calorific energy, that's where it comes from, and the feed to animals. And also soybean is a major contributor of a balanced profile of protein, amino acid based protein, to the livestock. So these two ingredients are highly needed for feed formulation for animals, for livestock, but the problem is that they are now so prohibitively expensive and increasingly unavailable in the markets. So there's a need to look for alternatives. Previously, people were kind of unwilling to embrace it, but now many farmers are beginning to get creative and they are willing to open their minds up to possibilities like insect farming. So that's why we're talking about this right now. So growing major feed ingredients for livestock feeding like maize and soybean requires water. Consequently, they are less available and often costly in areas where you have drought. You can imagine you can't grow maize and soya where you don't have water. So it means that we really have to get practical and look for some other alternative. That's where BSF farming comes in. All right. Problem number 4. Low cost and environmentally friendly human waste disposal. We have a serious problem in this part of the world where a lot of people engage in open defecation because you don't even have the facilities to take care of wastes in terms of using water to flush. So we have that challenge. All right, people are forced to defecate openly. Then those who don't even defecate openly, the facilities to flush when they do defecate in the toilet facilities is limited. For instance, availability of water is not just exactly available everywhere. So what are the alternatives? Black soldier fly rearing. Okay, black soldier fly farming provides an opportunity to do that. Okay, we'll be talking about it in a little more details in the case studies. All right, then we have the 5th problem, which is in the reduction in crop yields we're experiencing, and it's going to increase as the weather continues to change. The climate change is getting worse. It's impacting the cropping cycles, and so we're getting less crops per unit area of land, and there's a lot of water stressing because the rains are not falling the way they used to, because again the climate is changing, and because of all the bad practices, the impact on the ozone layer, and all that. So it's affecting our ability to produce crops. The implication is that we have to look for alternative food sources because we're not going to be getting the same volume of crops we were getting before. It's projected that's going to be about a 50% net reduction in production of crops in the next I think 20 years or so. And what are we going to do to kind of make up for that drop? We need to look for alternatives. BSF becomes a really viable alternative food source, and I mean for humans now, not just for animals. All right, so despite weather and water limitations, we'll be able to produce BSF that can actually replace that, because BSF does not require that much volume of water, and is not so much affected by climate. You can actually do it a lot indoors. All right, so now let's just give an overview. I have another video that has talked about that. You can look at the description for this. I'll put the links for the video that talks about how the BSF farming or how BSF production works, or the life cycle of BSF. All right, so the BSF has a high reproductive capacity. It gives about 500 eggs at once by female. So when a female lays eggs, you get up to 500 eggs at a go. Right, these grow into full-size larvae if they have abundance of food. If there are no limitations of feeding, they can grow into full size in 2 weeks. Look at that cycle. Amazing. So then this can be fed directly live to fish, to poultry, to pigs. They can be fed directly in live form to them. So it means you don't have to think of storage or anything. You can feed them directly and they'll be good. And they can, it can be a mixture of that with other energy giving ingredients like maize and things like that, or some other carbohydrate sources. But the huge profile of beneficial nutrients that is delivered to the BSF, to the animal, because it's consuming live BSF is considerable, as I said before about the nutrient profile. All right, so alternatively, you can also grind them and compound them into BSF meal for inclusion as a protein contributing feed ingredient in feed formulation and compounding for livestock. So we can use it for feed formulation. It is being used for feed formulation. So BSF meal can be a replacement it's a viable replacement and proven for fish meal. Right, a proven replacement for fish meal. It has about 65% protein content. Those of you who use fish meal that's imported, you know that you have the 65% protein fish meal, and you have the 72% protein fish meal. So you can see that the BSF is very competitive alternative, and the best part is that it's produced at a fraction of the cost compared to these other sources of protein. All right, so BSF also has a high content of amino acids and valuable fatty acids. All right, so now one of the things about production planning of BSF that you could use for somebody that wants to engage in it is the fact that you can base your projections for production on the fact that 1 kilogram of BSF eggs has been proven to yield around 190 kilograms of ride larva. Think about that. So you can plan in terms of what your target volume of dried larva will be, and say, okay, this is therefore the quantity of eggs you want to be able to produce. And then you look at how many batches of BSF larva do you want to produce, okay, in order to generate that quantity. So you can actually plan your production around that. So let's take some examples of how black soldier fly can solve problems that people will pay you for, and you can use this case studies I'm about to describe to plan your business, to prepare your business plan. So case study number 1: human food waste recycling. Right, so BSF are voracious eaters. They are dynamic eaters. They are voracious eaters. They keep eating round the clock, and have been shown to rapidly consume 100 tons of food waste. So the fact that they can do that means that if you have food waste in any location, and you are able to introduce it in a very convenient manner to the BSF, you can literally hope to eliminate that volume of food waste, meaning that you eliminate the need to use it for landfilling. It means that the land has suddenly been saved the need to accommodate another 100 tons of food waste. So every single time you achieve that with 100 tons of food waste using BSF, you are effectively saving us from another 100 tons of space in form of landfilling. All right, okay, then the other thing you are going to be doing is, by implication, in the process and as a result, you are going to be generating 6.5 tons of animal feed from that 100 tons of food waste in form of the grown larva that will result from feeding on the waste. Look at that. So you actually get 6.5 tons of pure live protein in the form of grown larva that you can then feed to animals of different kinds, because not just fish that can eat this thing. Poultry will eat them. There's so many videos on the internet. You Google it, you see what I'm saying. So they are eating, and they really relished by a lot of different livestock. And then of course we can process them. So just think about it: 6.5 tons of larva being processed into for use in feeding animals. That's huge. And then waste is continually produced. So it's not just one thing, it's repeatable, it's continually generated, and therefore you have a constant source of waste to feed your livestock. So you are literally producing this livestock, this larva, at zero cost. Now, so a business plan about using BSF for waste recycling, yes, for food waste recycling, is likely to be an obvious winner in the eyes of prospective investors. I mean, this is simple. It's just common sense. They will be able to see it easily. It's something. All you have to do is show them that you have the competence, the training, and the competence to do it, and they'll be glad to put money in your business, because the demand is there for this solution. So if that sounds interesting to you, then I encourage you to research it in more detail and prepare a business plan that you pitch to potential investors. But if you need help preparing the business plan or even doing the research, get in touch with me. There's a lot of material I have that can help you. All right, now another case study. The second case study is human waste disposal, processing, or recycling. Okay, so the issue of where do you put human waste? How do we handle it? How do we collect it? What do we do with it? So the way we're currently handling it can be improved upon. So BSF is very versatile in terms of its way it consumes food, and it feeds also on animal waste that's mixed with food waste. So the resulting larva will also be edible, but not just by livestock. So even when you do food waste recycling, it can be consumed by humans, the larva that's resulting. But there's this issue: the larva is fed on human waste. How can we eat that kind of larva then? No problem. You can have two types of production. You can have production that's focused on feeding BSF larva with food waste, and production that's processed and that's focused on feeding BSF larva with human waste. You don't mix the two if you want, or you can combine both operations and mix the human and food waste, and you kill two birds with one stone, and then focus on feeding that BSF just to animals alone. But then remember that the animals are going to be eaten by humans, so it all depends on you, and it depends on what part of the world you are in. But note that even in the EU, it's been approved already that BSF be used as feed for animals now. So it means that animals can get fed with BSF, and so it depends on where you get your BSF from. If your BSF is feeding on human waste, it's left for you to decide whether that's in line with the laws of your country. In a place like Nigeria, I don't think it will be an issue. But then again, if people are sensitive to that, then you can choose to have your BSF facility split in two. One side that treats BSF only to food waste, and the other one that treats it to human waste, so they can help both, and you can make money from both processes. All right, so imagine the possibilities with this business idea. A key output from using BSF this way is that you get large numbers of larvae and adult flies. You get pre-pupae, you get all of them in different stage of growth. You get all of them from this same raw material that you're feeding it, which is the waste, human waste or food waste. all right, and they can get them used as food for fish and other livestock, as I mentioned before, poultry and all the others, pigs. They will reach market size at less cost in less time from consuming the cheaply produced masses of black soldier fly larvae. All right, so it might interest you to know that other BSF products can be obtained through value addition, in other words, processing, and demand already exists in the marketplace for them. Example is the black soldier fly larvae oils, which are a dietary fat source. So just think about that. There are so many other things because you can produce that and sell that. There's a company I found on Ekpe. I spoke with the gentleman who was one of the officers in charge, the Nigerian guy, but the company is not a Nigerian company, and they produce BSF meal and they produce BSF larva oils as well, and they export it. So this is the potential for this thing is multidimensional, as I said before. But it doesn't end there. I mentioned that before. The European Union states have approved the use, I think some years ago, of insect protein for fish food. Okay, so companies in Europe, I've seen a company, for instance, somewhere in Europe, I can't remember exactly, I think in the UK, they actually produce and dry BSF larva, and it's supposed to be meant to actually serve as food for human beings. You actually can cook it. I think you can eat it or cook it. I can't remember how you do it, but it has this nutty flavor, according to the guy, the CEO that was interviewed. So they are already doing it. People are already exploring it as a human food. Okay, so it's not just food for animals. The taste is reportedly pleasant and it has no odor, so it has a good potential as a cooking ingredient as well. Now, one South African company actually gets paid in form of tax refunds to use the food waste they collect for feeding black soldier flies that they're rearing. So you can imagine that effectively means that the cost of their raw materials goes below zero, because they're being paid, they're being refunded the money that they're using to collect the food waste, that they're feeding to their animals, to their black soldier flies. Look at that. It's like eating your cake and having it. So this is something that's another additional incentive. The fact that you can actually get that waste at zero cost. That's effectively what it means. So even in terms of the transportation, you can actually get people that have such waste to bring them to your facility, so you don't have to go and pick it up. And they'll be glad to do that if they know they don't have to go and pay to dispose of it. Come on. You just eat your cake and have it. So a business plan that proposes to establish waste treatment plants using the BSF-based approach for waste processing and recycling is definitely going to interest serious-minded investors that are interested in this area. Right? The profit-making potential is enormous, especially because of the fact that you can actually get some tax refunds from using food waste, and also the requirements for starting up are actually not cost prohibitive. In many cases, you find that a lot of what you're going to use is not going to be something you pay big money for. So, as was the case with case study number 1, all right, where I talked about food waste, the activity of human waste processing and recycling also yields two benefits. First benefit is that you eliminate the twin headaches of open defecation, so people don't need to do that anymore, because you provide a system where they can defecate and you can collect it, or they can deposit it in a place where your black soldier fly can be introduced to them. And the second one is the need to use high water usage to flush poop. The reduction in need for that and a collection system that allows you to get access to human waste can just eliminate that problem. So those two problems have been solved. That's one benefit. And again, it generates up to 6.5 tons of animal and fish food. Okay, so the full-grown larva that you get from that process can be used to feed animals and fish. So think about it. A business plan that talks about using BSF for human waste recycling, so it's also likely to be an obvious winner in the eyes of prospective investors. If that sounds interesting to you, then again, I encourage you to research it in detail and prepare a business plan to pitch it to potential investors. If you need help, contact me. A business plan that combines both the human and food waste recycling is likely to pack even a greater punch, right, in terms of potential for attracting investors. So I think you should consider that. Consider doing both. Now, so that's really it. That's a list of 5 key problems facing every society across the world that people will gladly pay you to help them get rid of. Now, examples of how black soldier fly can be used, black soldier fly farming, can be used to solve some of those problems have been given as well. And there are companies in several countries. I've mentioned to you that there are companies like that actually, there's one called AgriProtein, for instance, that in several countries that have been doing it for years and are even getting involved. So the demand for this solution is multidimensional, right? The demand for this solution is actually multidimensional, and the demand for it is continually growing, and it continues to outstrip the available supply. We don't even have nearly enough people engaged in this thing. So there's no better time than than now for you to engage in it. All right, and you stand a great chance of winning investors and financing you need if you prepare a business plan for black soldier fly farming, showing how you will use it to solve one or more of these problems that I've posted here. Have been pressing problems faced in literally every society on the planet today. If you tie your business plan into solving any of these problems, you will see that it's going to make it connect better with people that are looking at giving their money to you. Now, let's assume you don't even already have money. You don't need anybody's money, and you are still engaged in BSF farming. I argue that if you prepare a business plan, this time around it will be like a management tool for your business. As you scale it up and you evolve it, it can help you to identify and focus on specific problems you can use your BSF farming to solve in a way that ensures that you can maximize the returns of your investment of time, effort, resources, and money. Because ultimately, you are in business to make money. But if you are working just with a focus on doing it the way you know how, in terms of just producing it and feeding to animals, that's one way you're making money. Okay, yes, your output will increase of your farm livestock, then of course you're lowering your cost of feeding them, so in terms of profit margins, you grow your profit margin. But there are other dimensions to this. Like I said, you can sell the BSF. Like I said, you can produce other products from the BSF. There's BSF byproducts that you can produce. There's frass, which is the byproduct from the feeding process that the BSF engage in, especially when they consume plant-based like fruits. The end of a frass, and that frass is something that can be used as organic fertilizer. It's a kind of organic equivalent to the chemical NPK fertilizer. So those are things that can come out from it. So why do you want to limit yourself when the same process can generate even more returns for you? But the thing is, first of all, set up a business plan that allows you to identify and outline what those benefits are, what those possible profit multipliers are, and then you begin to work along the lines of developing each of them to maximize the results from them. So that's what I wanted to tell you about. And if you're interested in taking this to the next level and you think you need help, then get across to me. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer you. Cheers.